Black Lives Matter leaders spend time with Shaun Kings and Rachel Dolezals. It's no wonder that they say whites will use and con POC for their own good. So this is a thought I had back in November, and it's pertinent with a recent tweet that Shaun King, who is one of the most prominent members of the Black Lives Matter, I don't know if it's the Black Lives Matter movement or just Black Lives Matter in the United States of America. I'm going to put a picture on the screen of Shaun King. That's Shaun King right there. You can see this rather, for lack of a better term, pale individual seems to be one of the leaders of the black movement. And does that actually matter? Does it matter about his ethnicity? Can't he actually be saying very poignant and useful and important things for the black community without actually having to be black? Because there is some questions about his ethnicity. But as I've talked about this before, the definition of black is a different thing. To me, black is something where, at most, I just happen to be black. I don't think I actually am black when it comes to the actual definition in general of it, because I think it's specifically for American descendants of slaves. I consider it to be more of a developing tribe, or a rather developed tribe with its own culture, belief systems, practices, cuisine, and all this that developed in the United States of America due to certain unique conditions of how some people were taken out of Africa, sold by Africans to slave traders, and then taken over and had a divorce, a big cut away from the previous culture, and then they developed a new culture. That's my general thought of this, the basics of it. But then when you start talking about the details and things like that, I'm going to get to the tweet in a second. But just think about how it goes in the United States of America. When Joe Biden said that thing, if you have a problem voting for me, you decide if you're going to vote for me, then you ain't black, Jack. I don't know if he said Jack, but he definitely should have said Jack. I think he said Jack because it's just Joe Biden. It sounds like something that he would say. So that came out to the people like, wait, is that racist? Is it racist? When you have something like 90% of the people who are black, supposedly black, who decide to vote that way, I don't know if that's racist. When you have a situation where CNN, this is another short thought I had, CNN has someone like Don Lemon. Like, what definition of black is going on to think that they're uniquely oppressed, yet Don Lemon is an appropriate representative? Because that's part of the reason he's on CNN. That isn't part of the reason. He's probably an actual reporter or whatnot. He can actually read the lines and do all these things, and he can present himself in a certain way. But they go to him when they're talking about black issues. He talks up on black issues. So who is Don Lemon representing? What are the basics to be considered black when Don Lemon is a representative? Now with Rachel Dolezal, I talked about this in a previous rant, like on my blog, where she was just found to be completely Caucasian, or it was like German background and something else, Germanic or something. So she had no actual black in her actual ancestry. Apparently, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez some time back said she had some black ancestors. It could be like generations back, like great-grandfather and things like this. I've already talked about this with President Barack Obama. He was half, and his half was Kenyan. So when it comes to African descendants of slaves, there's actually a lot of ADOS in the United States of America who do not actually refer to him as a black or as African American. They might do African American just in the same sense that Elon Musk is an African American, just in the same sense that Charlize Theron is an African American, because they are South African and then they moved to America and now they're African Americans. That is just the way that term actually is. So when you talk about black, there's something else in there. Would it matter at all if Shaun King was found out to be just completely Caucasian, to be as white as Donald Trump? Would that really change what he's actually done for the movement? Now, I don't think it should. I think if he actually has things to actually say that are positive for the black community, it shouldn't really matter about his race. But for some people, that does matter. And that's why this next tweet, this tweet that he tweeted, makes complete sense to me. First of all, I'm not surprised that he tweeted this, because these are the things Shaun King's about. These are the things Black Lives Matter is about. So do you think this thing? Let me just read the tweet now. Yes, I think the statues of the white European they claim is Jesus should also come down. They're a form of white supremacy, always have been. In the Bible, when the family of Jesus wanted to hide and blend in, guess where they went? Egypt, not Denmark. Tear them down. I don't know what voice I'm doing there, but I mean, some of these stuff, it's like it's hard to take this stuff seriously because I'm a religious. I don't believe this stuff actually happened. But if Jesus actually did exist, if he's actually based off of an actual person, then the depictions of white Jesus are inaccurate. The depictions of Mary as a blonde person are inaccurate. That was part of marketing. But then why did you go to Egypt? Then you say Denmark. Why don't you just actually pick a place that actually exists, like Constantinople or something? Just pick an actual location that actually exists. Let me read the follow up before I actually go into the analysis. Yes, all murals and stained glass windows of white Jesus and his European mother and their white friends should also come down. They are a gross form of white supremacy, created as tools for oppression, racist propaganda. They should all come down. So, oh man! So one of my friends posted that this is going to be like a tipping point. This is one of my friends, Steven. We had some talks, and I disagreed with him, and I'm like, it's not going to be a tipping point. It's not going to piss that many people off. There's no what percentage of the people? How many people actually are aware of Shaun King, aware of Black Lives Matter, and then would hear this, and then all of a sudden be supportive of it, and then flip sides? Not people in the black community. Like I've mentioned, that is one of the most Christian communities in the United States of America, one of the most Christian demographics. And I have had a couple of commissions of people asking me to do Black Jesus. I remember one in specific, I was in college, and someone was like, hey, can you design me this tattoo for Black Jesus? I don't know if you actually got the tattoo. And I've done some designs for tattoos. This is one thing that's annoying, the designs for tattoos. People ask for design tattoos and they don't actually get the tattoos. And it's like, well, come on now. Come on now. I thought you liked the design. Anyway, so that's just a little pet peeve of mine. So coming back to this thing, so the Black Jesus thing, that's been a common thing. There's many memes out there about Black Jesus. There's one where it's like Jesus must be black because like he keeps saying he's going to come back and he hasn't come back yet. Talking about the black fathers leaving the black community, which is a terrible type of thing. But anyway, so back to this thing. So people in the black community, I don't think they'll care. In general, I think there has been a certain move away from that depiction of Jesus Christ. Just how Shun King, just how Rachel Dolezal, those people understand, just how Don Lemon understands, I need to market my blackness in a package to talk and discuss to a certain demographic, to market my dogma and express that. That is what's done. Religions themselves developed when communities and cultures were much more homogeneous. Or homogenous. That's the word. And for sure, there is something racist about religions. When you think of this is the race that God picked, that is a racial thing. In general, I don't think it was done for oppression. I don't think they did it like, let's have a white Jesus. So when we go to the colonials and we actually go there and we establish Christianity there, people are going to be worshiping. But there is an aspect of that. If you think of the actual heavenly being and the image, the God decided to make himself human and made himself a white person, there is an aspect of that. It was used during actual times of slavery in the United States of America, of chattel slavery, to make that division. The Mormons have also taken that aspect where they're like the sons of Ham or something like that, where there was a curse where like the black people supposedly were cursed from a different thing. That actually has been in there. But just in the past, people had different gods that looked like them. There's even this meme that I've used before. I'm going to put it up on the screen now. It's the top one is some Asian-looking kid. My God looks like me, and then it's a Buddha, a sculpture of the Buddha. And then my God looks like me, and it's an Indian person, and it's an Indian kid, and it has the dot in the head, and it's like Krishna or Shiva or whatnot. But then they also have all like the Hanuman, the monkey gods, and the gods that are blue with several arms. But in general, when they have the humanized version, and then it's like my God looks like me, it's this white kid, and then it's a white Jesus. Then my God, WTF, it's a black kid. And yeah, that is how it goes. But this is part of just the black culture. Black civilizations did not keep as detailed of a history as other cultures. So we don't really have as detailed as a history. And some of the religions hadn't developed to the point of humanizing, of anthropomorphizing the gods that much. It was more like spirits, it was more like animism. There was this less actual development in that actual field. I think maybe there was still much closer relationship to actual nature and things like that, and it was more ancestral worship. So there wasn't really that much in there. Because even when you talk about like the Asian religions, yeah, they have Buddha and things like that, but Buddha isn't even a god. That's a separate thing. I mean, he's just a well-known person. So they've had that. They had people like, I think, like Anansi, some of these things. So they have those things in the different cultures and things. So there are some question marks there. And then in the past as well, it used to be a situation where, hey, we have our own gods in this place or this little village or this small culture, and then we come and we end up killing all of you people and winning a war and taking over your land. You adopt our gods. Or like the Romans, where it's like, okay, you keep your gods, but your gods are under our gods. So there was that kind of mixing thing. And then now we've entered this globalized world where people are sharing these things. And as I was mentioning before, even the Christian church, they understand they have reached full saturation with white people, Caucasians, Europeans, however you want to call those groups. They also realize this is a minority population when you look at the actual world. We're selling dogma. We're selling a product. It's also kind of a business, an organism. How is that organism going to grow? Part of what they did was this was the major powers at that time. They still are the leading cultures, but they've reached a full saturation. Those cultures are becoming atheist. Those cultures are becoming irreligious. Those cultures are growing out of these this dogma. They're like, that stuff doesn't really make sense. I think there's too many question marks in that Bible. So they have to market themselves. There's just the details of going back and be like, yeah, we know the genetics and what people look like. I think there was that one image. It was some kind of computer-generated image of what Jesus might have actually looked like. This has been a thing in regular parlance. So trying to pretend or behave that this whole concept that coming out and specifically saying, as Shun King, specifically talking about white Jesus and European mother. He's not saying tear down Christianity. He's not saying I don't believe in these things anymore. He's just saying the depiction of it has some question marks. And that is for sure. It was done that way to market and to appeal to a certain population in the growth of Christianity. And now that it's growing, I think if you even look at the Catholic Church, you look at the major churches and things like that in the world. And there is, I think, a bit of a pullback on using the imagery of just outright white Jesus. Now you look at The Passion of Christ, which is that Mel Gibson film with Jim Caviezel as the actor. And Jim Caviezel, his father is Slovak and Swiss descent, and his mother is Irish. But his appearance was more of a Semitic. It wasn't blonde. I forget, were there any blondes in that? Like, as the relatives and the mother. Was there other things in the movie? It's been a while since I watched it, but I think there is a pullback from that, going more to like historical accuracy when it comes to that. And then you have some people like things like when Hamilton comes out, which is that show by James Miranda, the Broadway show. You're like, oh, I can't believe you're changing our history by putting these people of different races in the thing. This is white people doing that. And then when somebody's like, hey, Jesus wasn't white. You can't be talking about Jesus. No, come on now. I mean, let's have some consistency with this thing. So I don't think this is going to be that big of a deal. I kind of do agree that there was actual racial, not necessarily racist aspects of doing the white perception of Jesus, but I think there was simply, it's clear there was racial actual interest. There was racial concerns. There was racial input to actually make that depiction of Jesus in the way that it was done, with a blonde Mother Mary, with a white Jesus. That is something that is undeniable. And that is something that is also almost 100% undeniably inaccurate for the actual people that were living in that area at the time, even though they are native blonde Semites, I'm sure. I'm sure they are. But come on now. So let me know what you think about this one with the whole situation. Do you think there is an aspect of just with Shun King, people like Rachel Dolezal, she still did work for the actual program, right? I mean, why did they kick her out if she was still doing good work? If it turns out that Shun King is proven to be genetically white, do you think that will change anything? Is it like an Elizabeth Warren situation where it's like, oh, find out that she's actually not Native American? Is that really going to affect? She got certain jobs for being, she was listed as, I think, one of Harvard's Native American professors and things like that. Does she have to return that notification? Did she get any awards related to that? Has Shaun King gotten any actual awards or things specifically for being black? I don't know. Would he have to turn those in? If he's still actually working and finds out that maybe he didn't know or whatnot, and finds out that, oh, he actually has no actual anything that you'd actually define him genetically as Negro in his blood, would that really change any of the work that he's done for the movement? I don't think it should. It might, but then when you have leaders of Black Lives Matter movement talking about, yeah, we are Marxists, we are trained Marxists. Well, Marx ideology, that wasn't developed by a black person. So they're carrying on that stuff. So does that really matter? Should they really be going back to just all black things? How black does this have to be? Do you think that aspect of having these relations with these people of questionable ethnicity could actually make people be like, yeah, that's kind of why we're suspicious of these people? Is there some just general awakening of people realizing, hey, wait, these places where all this strife is going on, seems to be a lot of black mayors and governors and police chiefs and leadership and school boards and all these things. A lot of female ones as well. Are they looking back in their cultures and societies and saying like, wait, there's actually some situations that we might be retooling these things? Is Shaun King coming from a place where he just actually was trying to do his best and it just had limited information coming from a certain point of view? I don't know. So let me know what you think about these two shorties, I guess the Don Lemon one and the Shaun King. What is your definition of black? How effective do you think this whole thing with the Jesus thing, do you think it's really going to flip people one way or the other? Something like, yeah, I didn't like Shaun King, but now he's talking about white Jesus being taken down. I'm going to join that Black Lives Matter movement. Or like, oh, that's enough, man. I can't believe this thing. I was talking about Black Lives Matter and now this guy's talking about white Jesus being taken down. I'm out. No. I don't think there's going to be that much of a swing. So that's it for now. Like, share, subscribe. I appreciate you taking your time to come listen to this. Let me know what you think in the comment section. Links below to our merchandise store. I think on the screen I'm going to have 9 Lives Matter, which is a play on the Black Lives Matter, talking about cats. Also another cats one, Paws Up, Please Pet, which is a play on the hands up, don't shoot thing. And you might be thinking I'm taking too lightly about this, but hey, whatever. I mean, some of this stuff is serious, but you can also make jokes. You can also talk about all these other things because some of these things are just like, come on. I mean, they're tearing down statues and things like that. Are you surprised it's gone to this? Come on, this was expected, right? I mean, it's not too many people who are actually shocked, who have actually been following these things, who are shocked about these tweets. Or were you? Goodbye.
Yeah, we could go through the entire. Oh, hell yeah.
I'm gonna hug the guy. Record me hugging the guy.
Okay. Wait, on a video? On a video?
God bless you, man. Thank you so much. Have a great day.
Good times.